Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Bet you didn't expect this series to try to come back from the dead again, but we are in fact here for two reasons. One, I am rather stubborn, and two, my next franchise mode that's more fantasy-based, so to speak, is taking a little bit of time to set up. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So until that is ready to go, I figured why not come back to this, give it another kick at the can for the Trinidad and Tobago Goon fish. And we're going to get right down to business on this one as we kind of refamiliarize ourselves with this roster. Of course, all the cap space in the world, but also all the UFAs in the world. And I believe I ended this by saying, oh no, and indeed, oh no. But as we look at this, right, let's focus on goaltending first because it's pretty straightforward, right? Polak can stay there. It's cool. Defensively, this is a problem. Piper wants $11 million. Carlson wants $8 million. Sigalet, who of course we played it forward so much, wants $9 million. We are in a world of hurt right now, and indeed, this team might not be able to recover, unfortunately. So, in looking at the roster, obviously we can qualify Heinrich. We have Andreychuk, who I am willing to keep, of course, based off of the abilities. We get to qualify Gudis, and then we're boned. But we'll get to that in a minute. On the wing, we have more RFAs that we could elect to hold on to. Someone like Maurice Brulé might be more important for ability purposes. And then we got a lot of dudes who aren't so good. We do have Winther, who we can sign to his ELC. And yeah, then the quality kind of drops off. We'll keep Trotter, even though he is pretty bad. But he is a medium 6, so you never know. There might be some late development. Left wing, Rintoul certainly stays. Harding certainly stays. And from there, we're boned. And then at center, thank God Hedberg is an RFA. Amongst others, we will be keeping pretty much all of these RFAs at the top here. Ham Hughes is a bit of a toss-up, and then there's Schwarz as well. $73 million is our current number in terms of trying to make this work. And I got to be honest, even like Granado, I think even the kind of garbage RFAs we'll look to keep because, of course, we need bodies on this roster, both NHL and AHL-wise. What are we going to do UFA-wise? The amount of talent that happen to be UFAs is incredibly concerning. Start off at the bottom. Heiskanen, he's trash. We're still going to sign him, right? Schwarz, he's pretty trash. We're still going to try to sign him. Franzen, pretty trash. Ooh, he wants money. He gone. He's not getting positive money. He gone. And that brings us to everybody else. Fowler wants $3 million. Cheng wants $4 million. There are no cheap contracts here. There just aren't. To the point where, man, letting go of everybody might not be the worst idea. At least the vast majority of them. Bear Piper. Is Bear Piper worth $11 million when the contract max is now 22? Probably, right? I mean, 11 million. About 11 million again because he doesn't want to sign. Oh my God. So if we consider it $73 million, you divide that by 11 and that leaves you with about 6 players. We could probably keep the 6 best. Oh, Sigalet, you've been good at putting up points. I think what we have to do is prioritize those with abilities because they can help boost up the roster regardless of who is here. So we are going to try to go 1 year, $11 million for Bear Piper. We're going to try to keep Ty Bowdens as well at 1 year and 10.5. Tyrone Carlson, same thing. We're going to go 1 year at $8 million to kick that off. Sigalet, we're going to hold on. Holt, we're going to hold on. Steve Robertson, he has been immensely disappointing in a lot of ways. Oh, baby, but the longer we sign him, the cheaper he is. We'll see if we can go 8 years, $3.5 million in a deal that I might regret, but it's cheap. Amir Cheng has an ability. And the shorter deal, the lower the money. And then Fowler also has these abilities. So we'll go 3.4 for 1 year. Let's see what happens through the first day, shall we? So Winter Signs, Trotter. I mean, we're going to have a lot of interesting offers. It doesn't look like that many people dropped off. And really, in looking at it, I mean, we know the RFAs are going to be a little bit expensive, but we got $35 million left. That is shocking. So Sigalet, Holt, we should have enough money to pull this off. Maybe. Oh boy. Okay, Sigalet's expensive no matter what. And then there's Holt, who is also expensive no matter what. Let's go after some of the RFAs, right? Hedberg wants $11 million. So if we were to sign Hedberg, Rintoul wants $3 million. Gudis wants $5 million. Okay, so let's just say we're down to about $20 million. Can we fit these two in within $20 million? Yes. I think we can get away with this. I think we can. Let's go 1 year at $10 million flat for Sigalet. And then for Holt, we'll go 1 year at $8 million flat. They both accepted. $19 million left for all of our RFAs, or we get compensation. I think we actually survived that pretty well. Let's head to free agency. We'll see if people accept those qualifying offers. Our entire coaching staff is about to change. I feel like, again, it's happened quite a few times in this run. So let's try to solve this particular issue. Oh, boy. So, couple of A-grade coaches. Allow me to skip ahead while we offer a bunch of coaches a bunch of money. All right, we have a good amount of offers out to these A-plus level coaches. We'll see what happens there in a minute and how many of them choose to accept. That is one. That is a scout. That is another scout. That is the third scout. So here we go, more coaches. That is another. Make that, well, 2 out of 3 as that guy goes to Philadelphia, poor bastard. JC Nichols comes back. Vigilante has signed, and just like that, we are looking pretty good. A couple of qualifying offers go through, and this team is actually looking so much better than I thought it was going to. Richard Gudis, 5.3 for 2 years. I think we match that. It's a second-round pick. Let's double-check Gudis. Honestly, I mean, he does have a good shot. He is physical. He can't skate worth a damn. A second-round pick. Can I get somebody better with a second-round pick than him? It is highly doubtful. Highly doubtful. Good physicality, good defensively. He can't skate worth a damn. You might as well consider him like an enforcer that can shoot. I'm going to say remind me in 6 days while we see what other acceptances go through. I think we're going to match it. It's only a second-round pick. The guy kind of sucks, but this game is also kind of wonky, so a player like that is still pretty valuable to us. Robert Hedberg is the final holdout as Rintoul signs, and there is Robert Hedberg. So we actually managed to keep everybody. No casualties this time out, which is pretty solid and more than what I was expecting. And indeed, let me just double check that was everybody. And indeed it was, aside from Amrit Hodgson, who we should have the money to bring back. And of course, we have some unsigned players as well that we will leave unsigned for now. So let's sim a couple of days here, get Hodgson back, and see what our team's going to look like for yet another season. So it's going to be Beyer and Hodgson as our goalies, no doubt about that. Defensively, I mean, pretty much it's just skaters who are the best going to be. And right now we are at 21 skaters. So we'll look to send down the lowest dudes that we can. And honestly, it's going to come down to these 74s. And yeah, pretty much just take those 3 74s off the team And there it is. Worked out pretty easily. Everything about actually keeping this team together worked out pretty easily. It's just whether or not they can make the jump. So we don't know what coach we are going to run with. What we need to do, though, I keep going to the complete wrong spot. How many defensemen? We have 5 defensemen playing it forward. Yeah, I mean, there can certainly be an argument. I think the best thing for us to do, go back over to the coaches and just whatever coach is legitimately the best for the job is who will get our head coaching spot. And Panay is A+ across the board. Nobody else can compete with that. So this person here is going to be our head coach. In terms of an associate coach, Boma is pretty much perfect, but also we might want to have Boma be our penalty kill specialist, so like our assistant coach. Let's see. Let's go for Nichols, actually. Let's get JC back on the team. So JC Nichols as our power play coach. And we'll drop Duncan down to AHL assistant, get Boma there. We can go ahead as well and fire Inglis, which is shocking, but Brian Inglis will be out. So we'll take a look here. Best head coach is going to be Duncan. So let's drop Hines, make Duncan the AHL head coach. And from there, power play is both good, but let's have you as the assistant coach. Let's have Vigilante, the associate coach. So we just need to hire 2 goalie coaches really quickly. Scouting isn't going to be a big deal in terms of reassigning. And unfortunately, goalie coaches right now don't appear to exist. Here's the first half decent one, Peyton White. So maybe we should have held on to that C-rated goalie coach because it turns out they were actually pretty damn good. And here's Ned Biggs. That's what we're missing. We don't have enough Neds within the organization. Every team needs a couple of Neds. And then, in terms of scouting, the extra in the OHL, USA West, Central. We need a USA East. So we'll go ahead and set you up to scout all, what was that, 16 players, I believe it was? Russia, Liga, SHL, Ice, Extra Liga. All right, another Liga coach. Scout, that is. So you are going off to the most wonderful place on earth. Have fun in Finland. I am incredibly jealous. So with that, we know what our coaching setup is. Let's go back to edit lines. We'll go best lines, see what it suggests, and then take it from there. And yeah, so we'll have some work to do here, won't we? So Andrechuk does not have the skating to be a defender. Cheng does. Heinrich really doesn't. Robertson does. And we know Gudis does not have the skating to be a defender. Is there anybody else who has just piss poor skating? No, and honestly, these guys as our defenders probably makes the most sense, with the exception of Sigalet. Because we do know that running Sigalet is a pretty good idea. So, at least as a forward, is a pretty good idea because we can max out chemistry. So let's see, between these two, offensively, I still think Robertson's probably the better of the options. So Cheng will take a seat for Sigalet. And I mean, technically, we'll just swap positions. And we'll get Amir Cheng back on defense. And there we go, +5s. So Fowler doesn't really work for the third pair. Sutter works anywhere. Cheng doesn't work for the third pair. Neither does Bear. So Bear, Cheng, and Fowler should not be on the third pair. Although, in saying that, that appears to be our best option. So congratulations to Amir Cheng. He'll be on the second line. So offensively, what is our best way to avoid this negative chemistry? Is there anybody who actually fits for the fourth line? Summers, Rintoul, Blouin's not that good. This could be... Oh, well, there we go. Robertson, Heinrich, Andrechuk. That worked out pretty good. Obviously, face-off-wise, we are going to be absolutely abysmal, but that's okay. And then, Gudas, Sigalet. Can we play anybody? Okay, Rintoul. Or Bodens. Let's go for Rintoul. And then one more time. Could get a +1. And I think that's going to be the way to do it. So Bodens, Hedberg, and Sigalet. Holt, Blouin, and Wilson. Which isn't that bad. And then Summers, Rintoul, and Gudas. It works. It's not pretty in a lot of ways, but it works. With Hodgson, oh, that burp was just terrible. As I was saying, with Hodgson in goal. So that's perfect. So this is the team. Here they are. AHL-wise, we will again go best lines. And yeah, surprise, surprise. It's not overly pretty there either, but we'll just run with it. I'm not too worried about getting certain people in the lineup because, let's be honest, that's not going to go too well for us either. So I think we are about ready to go for another season. We really don't have all that great of additions or anything like that to talk about, like new additions to the team. It's basically the same boys. So the question is, can they make it back to the playoffs? And if not, then maybe, just maybe, this will be the last run. Who's to say? But let's see what happens. The season sim is ready to go. The Trinidad and Tobago Goonfish, who consistently overperform, let's be honest. We often do much, much better than we should. Case in point, we are 5-0 to start this season. But as we know, if we get into the playoffs, you never know. With the way this sim works, it might just randomly say like, hey, congratulations. You have the proper combination this year and you win. GG's. Could very well be the case. Or we could get there again and get absolutely blown out. And unfortunately, while I was talking about optimism, all of a sudden the month of November has not been all that kind to us. So I'm not feeling as optimistic. And then when I say I'm not feeling that optimistic, we do well. And when I'm saying, hey, you never know, we might get to the playoffs, then all of a sudden I feel terrible and we play terrible. So, or terribly, even for proper English. Isn't proper English the best? But we are currently the number one team in our division, which is hilarious. The Flyers are pretty much neck and neck with us here. Devils a little bit further back. I gotta reverse psychology this. We aren't going to succeed. We're terrible. We're the worst team possible. Yeah. Just don't ever make us make the playoffs, EA. We would never, ever want to make the playoffs. What a terrible existence. It would be so inhumane for us to make the playoffs. Please don't do it. I just don't want it. I just don't want it. I'm even going to list ourselves as sellers at the deadline because I just don't want us to make the playoffs. Ship them all away. All of them. Oliver Kapanen is on waivers. We're not allowed to take you, Ollie. I'm sorry. 41, 19, and 6. Good Lord. We are, barring a miracle, going to miss the playoffs, right? We're going to miss it? Yeah, we're going to miss them. That's a shame. We made the playoffs. We're back in the playoffs. We're back in the playoffs. Imagine that. The Goonfish have won 50 games. Scratch that. 51 games and made the playoffs yet again. This is why I could not quit on this team. Any year could be our year. We finished third in terms of president's race, third in the NHL. Goals for average was tied for third with Los Angeles. Goals against average was the third lowest. 14% power play, 86% PK. In terms of the points, well, Gabriel Holt certainly returned to form. Keaton Wilson, Blouin, Hedberg all scored at least 31 goals, which is pure insanity. 50 points from Alan Sigalet, who, of course, was playing as a forward. Richard Gudis on the fourth line had 41 points, for God's sakes. Figure that one out. But the scoring was fantastic. The goaltending, we didn't turn auto-rotate back. So, Spencer Beyer didn't play that much. But a 9-17 for Cameron Hodgson. I honestly forgot that we didn't change it. But we have two phenomenal goalies. We have a team that is somehow magic in the regular season, but can they be magic in the playoffs? Against last year's Stanley Cup champions, the Boston Bruins.